Welcome to the concrete experiences and the design of online space and environments. I want to introduce myself very quickly. I'm Tamara, and I also just want to draw your attention to Haley, who, Haley, if you want to just say a quick hi and wave.
Hello.
Haley is going to help me with just doing all of like the monitoring of comments in the chat. I strongly encourage you to engage in productive multitasking. So if there's something that really resonates, or if you want a question answered, throw it into the chat, and Haley will help make sure that I see it, because I'm not always able to keep track of all of those things. I'm one of the adjunct faculty that works with M Squared, and I have been working in experiential education for over 20 years now, and I love the opportunity to take a really inefficient space and turn it into an immersive place for a concrete experience. So I'm very excited to spend my time today with you talking about how do we do that online as well. So this is our agenda. This is how we're going to spend our time for the next hour, and I like to stay on track for timing. So we'll definitely be doing that as well. So what I'd like to do is ask you all to turn off your cameras for a moment. And in order to do that, you just go up to the small box on the top of your particular space screen, and you click on the 3 dots, which means more options, and just stop camera, or stop video rather. Okay, so just turn off your videos for a moment. And what I'd like you to do is we're gonna begin with a guided meditation. What I'd like you to do is to close your eyes or stare somewhere where you can focus but not think about what you're looking at specifically. And I want you to think about a program or a learning experience that you are most proud of designing, not creating, but designing, meaning that you actually put some time into thinking about how to transform it and own it and make it your own. And the specific piece about this program that I'd like you to think about is when you had a space that was not conducive to accomplishing your desired goal. So whether it was a bare bones conference room, a synagogue social hall, an outside environment that didn't have optimal sound components or variables, think about a program or a learning experience that you are most proud of designing in which the space that you had to work with was not accomplishing your desired outcome. Now on your paper with your pen beside you, what I'd like you to do is to write down 2 keywords that capture the challenges of that space that you had to confront. And when you're done that, what I'd like you to do is to think about 2 keywords that capture what solutions you used to make that experience a success as you consider it to be. And once you have those 4 keywords, 2 keywords of challenges and 2 keywords of solutions, I'm inviting you to turn on your video again. You can restart your video. Now behind me, I have a set of girl power boxing gloves, because frequently when we talk about moving concrete experiences online, and I've been having many conversations with my colleagues about this, can you have an immersive concrete experience by yourself behind a camera alone? And it seems very overwhelming as educators when we want to try to create these pieces. And so this is really about us feeling empowered to have the strength and to practice the exercise and be able to really design these spaces creatively. So Haley, if I can ask you to set up breakout rooms where there are about 4 people in each breakout room. I'm going to send you into breakout rooms in a moment. And these are the prompts that I'd like you to follow. And I'll put them into the chat as well so that you can follow them as well. So first, I'd like everybody to take their turn introducing themselves, share your name and your pronouns. And then also share your M squared connection, because it's really nice that we're all part of this network. And as M squared has grown, it's an opportunity for so many people to meet and connect that way as well, and really feel like we're part of something bigger, all under the M squared umbrella. Then I'd like each person to share the space that you envisioned during that little guided meditation, and to talk about why you chose each of the 2 keywords that you did for both the challenges and the solutions. All right. Now, from an accountability perspective, what I would like is I would like one person in each group to offer to be the timer, if you have a phone or something to keep track of time, to make sure that everybody has 2 minutes to share and speak. That way we make sure that everybody has airspace, and that we can stay on track for time. And then I would like one person to keep track of the themes, or like the consistent pieces that have come up as everybody has been sharing, because they will be shared back with the group when we reconvene. Okay, and I also encourage you to use the Zoom reactions if you'd like within your group. So if you want to give a thumbs up if something resonates with you, you want to give an applause if something resonates with you, you can access those by also clicking on the bar where there's a more feature and there are reactions, and you have those also depending on the Zoom update that you've most recently added to your computer. So with that, I'm going to stop share and turn it over to Haley to please send everybody into breakout rooms, and I will put the prompts now into the chat for everyone as well.
Great.
And have a lovely conversation.
There will be 3 rooms of 4 and 2 rooms of 3.
Great.
Perfect. Just a second. Okay. Remind me how long we're doing this?
We're doing this for 10 minutes.
Amazing. Perfect. Okay. All rooms are opened.
Enjoy your chat.
Okay. I'm just gonna record.
All right, so welcome back. As people are rejoining us, and Haley, I'll let me know when everyone's back, because I can't really see. But as you are rejoining us, please take your 2 keywords that you chose to capture the challenges of your space and design. And I'd like you to add them. What you can do is go to your more functions on your participant bar. And if you click, you can see an option. You should see an option that says annotate. And once you have that option, then you'll click it, and then you'll see a bar come up, and click the text, and then put your cursor somewhere on the page, and you can start putting in your words.
Wait, where is this?
If I on the bar, on your participant bar, which has like your mute, your stop video, screen share, and all of those. There are.
It's on the top for me.
It's on the top under view options for me.
Yeah, me too.
I think it depends on like PC, Mac.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Zoom update number, etc.
So it's where it says view options, go to annotate, and then you can go, and then go to text, and then you can type.
Oops, sorry. Trigger happy. And Haley, I'm gonna let you, if there are, you can also see, like when you write and type in your box, you can also click and move your box if you see somebody else choosing that exact same blank space. Once you click your cursor out, then you can, then it's sort of set.
Are we on solutions or challenges?
Challenges.
The screen says.
Oh, sorry. There you go. There you go.
Connect.
Yeah,
sorry, I think I might have done.
My apologies. Sorry, every time I try to close the chat, because I'm trying to keep up with that, it changes the screen. I apologize for that. All right, let's do 30 more seconds that I will count in my head and not out loud, and start to see some of the themes that are emerging that we can trace here. And there's a lot of overlap. Noise, boring, challenge around connectivity and closeness. Spaces, is it too small? Is it too large? How does that happen in terms of impacting our pieces? Great. All right, last call. Wonderful. Haley, can I ask you to either screenshot or just click and save this page and then clear it after you've done that? Because now we're going to do the exact same thing again. And if you want to save this as well, to give you an idea of A, you're not alone, and B, these are recurrent issues that we face not only online but also in person, then you're most welcome to do that. All right, wonderful. So now let's do the exact same thing a little bit quicker now that we're a little bit more well-versed with the annotation. Throw up your 2 keywords around your solutions. Great. Love it. Y'all are experts in this. You don't need this. You don't need this webinar. So what I'm seeing here is design, right? Thoughtful planning, time, smaller groups, focus, color, decor, seating options, right? It's design. Food, smell, movement. Exactly. Now, all of these, I would argue, are transferable to online. All right, I'll do another 30-second last call for any more of your solutions to throw up there. Carve out space creatively. I love that. Now I want you to think about this in an online framework because it is directly applicable in all of those ways. All right, thank you. So Haley, do you mind just saving that and then clearing it as well? Thank you. Again, screen, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna spend about 10 minutes talking about content, some of the M² signature content, and we pre-sent you a link to methodology cards that I wanna spend some time actually working through and playing with. Before we jump into that, I want to start inversely. So it says methodology cards first and then intentional mindset. I wanna talk about the intentional mindset first. So during non-COVID times, we think about spaces, just as we've talked about, and we really don't have control over a lot of them. Anybody who has been on a trip, a travel immersive experience, can think of a dark hotel room that may or may not have chairs where participants might sit in a circle and reflect with or without a candle or dim lighting. I mentioned social halls and open park spaces, and frankly, anywhere that we have available to us to run our programs, even camps where magic is, at the forefront. The reality is that we cannot always control our environments, but we can control the design of it. So when we think about regular meeting spaces, what is it that we do and what can we leverage and how can we design the space? How can we actually place intentional cues into our planning and our design of the experience, not just its content, in order to create concrete experiences? So what I'd like you to do is, first of all, in the chat box, I would like for you to, I'm just going to change the slide. Here are the cards. Here's a picture of the cards, and you should have access to all of these methodology cards. So based on the cards that are here, in the chat box, I'd like you to take a look at the cards and list in the chat box any of the things that you see here that have been at play in our webinar so far. And I'm going to try to follow the chat box, which means I might change the screen, and I apologize in advance. Wonderful. Images, symbols, right? We got some boxing gloves, we got some color Post-it notes, there's purpose and framing, right? We talked about concrete takeaways. We've got a bit of atmosphere. We've got changing of spaces from large group to small group. Great. Naming, right? Welcome to the design zone. I'm all about the zone. And so that we can be in the zone. Great. What else? Cheryl, would you mind sharing a little bit more about what you mean by dimensions? How did the dimensions piece come out? Oh, thank you. You're welcome to speak as well. Sorry, I didn't realize that was not clear.
Okay.
I would love to hear your voice, please.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. It's just the size of the space. For us, it was a little cube.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
As all of you disappeared off of our screens, Haley and I were talking about how sort of like Star Trek-y it feels for people just to like disappear and reappear. And so something that I want to lend thought to, or to give thought to, is how our social cues and social norms have changed as a result of designing concrete experiences online as opposed to in an actual space. Think about what happens when somebody walks into a room. If they are an introvert, an extrovert, or like me, a social introvert. What are the cues in terms of eye contact, leaning into comment, leaning out? How do people find other people that they're comfortable sort of easing their way into a group with and not, right? And how do we account for those in the design of space in order to make that an intentional part of our design as well? Awesome. So now that you've named the cards a little bit, I'd love to delve a little bit deeper, first by modeling what we're doing right now in this space, and then by actually playing with some of the cards and the work that you're doing. So further to what you were doing in the chat, please add in the chat as well. How have the different cards, give like concrete examples, like we talked about, like atmosphere, setup, naming, right? Because those are the pieces, the dimensions, those are the pieces on the cards. What are the concrete pieces that you are seeing right now in the design of this environment, in this learning space, right? Forget that we call it a webinar, and let's talk about the fact that we're having a concrete experience together right now. So what are concrete examples that demonstrate any of these cards that are currently at play? Great. Yep. Music, breakout chats, images. Yep. And the images are not haphazard. It's not just like, oh, here's my virtual background. I have a pretty handy real background that I use for those of you who have spent some time on Zoom with me already, but there are other ways to do it. The whiteboard sharing. Yep, absolutely. Amazing. Okay. So now what I'd like you to do is I will try really hard to close the chat. Oh, success. What I'd like you to do is taking a look at these cards, or using the ones that you have prepared for you so that you can look at them a little bit closer. What I'd like you to do is, on your piece of paper beside you, choose 2 or 3 specific cards that deeply resonate with you, and write down a few personal ideas that you identify with in terms of what you have available in your online space, and what can you engage your learners in using in their online spaces so that you can create a concrete experience online. So also, they don't have to be novel. If you've done this stuff before, like, use that, leverage that experience, and this is about amplifying and refining it as well. So choose 2 to 3 cards and write down a few personal ideas of what you can do virtually online, and what can you do to engage your learners, and what might they have in their spaces in order to also participate actively in a concrete online experience. I'm just going to give a couple of minutes of silence so that you can think and write them down. And if you're done, you can give me a thumbs up and an emotional reaction if you want to. So as you're wrapping up, you're going to go back into your groups again, the same groups that you've been building relationship with the different people in your group. And you're going to talk about these ideas. And before we go into those groups, what I would like you to do is write down the following sentence on your page so that everybody has it. Okay? So the sentence is as follows. And in fact, I think I have it here. Yes, excellent. So love it when I am efficient. I am working to design a concrete experience that is blank. Okay, and you're going to complete that sentence. So let's again take a minute for you to write that down and finish the sentence on your own. I am working to design a concrete experience that is blank.
Tamara, are you looking for us to describe the situation or like a Shabbat
So
experience, or are you looking for us to say like symbols?
So an actual experience that you're designing, because what we're going to do is you're going to case study now. We're going to go into a little bit of lab work and case study and start building out how you can emerge with really concrete takeaways that you'll be able to use right away in a concrete experience. So if you're working on on designing a concrete experience, whatever that would look like, this is an opportunity to use it to play and build it out. And in your groups, you're going to talk about which cards would you use. And then you'll offer some peer consultancy. So each person will talk about the cards and share the ideas and start building out your concrete experience using the methodology cards. And then within the group, everybody will have a chance to offer additional suggestions if they come to mind. Are there any questions about those prompts? Is that clear? All right, I'm seeing some head nodding. Amazing. So Haley, I'm going to ask if you can reopen the breakout rooms again, and we will resume, and we'll send you some more. I'll put these prompts again in the chat and we can broadcast and communicate that way. There's going to be 15 minutes for you all to work on this and brainstorm and collectively experiment with this together. Okay? Have fun.
Yeah.
Exactly. Welcome back, everyone. So we're going to do one more quick page of concrete ideas. Now, if you recall the prompt that oh wait, Haley, is everybody back before I just jump in? Are all the rooms closed? Awesome. So if you remember the prompt that I gave before we went into the breakout rooms, where I asked you to take the cards and give concrete examples, sorry, we're overusing the word concrete, give specific examples about how those cards were playing out in this webinar experience so far. I'd like you to do the same thing with the ideas that you have just been working on for your own concrete experiences that you're thinking about designing and creating right now. So for instance, if you are working on a team meeting, which was one of the ideas I offered, a suggestion that I offered, if you're working on a team meeting, then I want to use, naming of space. So an example is I'm going to actually create a different kind of calendar invitation with a name that frames and creates a space that lends to how I'm going to design it. Hope that example is okay. So please go ahead and open up your annotation settings again, or click on annotate, and you can add your example. So put the name of the card, like the keyword of the card, so either like naming or what have you, colon, and then your specific example. And if those instructions are unclear, please let me know and I'll try to make it better. I love that.
Yeah,
Yep,
me too.
Specific tasks. Beautiful. And the accountability is everything. Yep, displays and dimensions. Thank you. Yes, I love that a lot. Yep, placemats. I love a good placemat. Yes, wonderful. Yep, that's the intentional piece of coming prepared. That both boosts curiosity. Haley, if you don't mind trying to help just sort of move the overlapping boxes, I would be super grateful.
I was trying to do it earlier, but it actually wouldn't let me do it.
Rude. I even gave you permission. There was a window that
I know.
popped up on
I know.
Great. When you're setting up your workspace. Sometimes you have evening events or evening meetings. Mood lighting can be everything. Also, if you want to be outside, but then account for what wind and sound looks like as well. Great. Somebody put about displays with PowerPoints and timelines. Absolutely. And also remember that even if you have designing and branding policies in place, there are ways to work with those to curate a very distinct, concrete experience.
Mara, can you try to move them around so we can read them? Or is
I'm going to try.
Okay.
The answer is yes. Hang on a second. Nope. Undo.
I think everybody can move their own, but I don't know if you can move others.
I don't seem to be able to. Hang on a second. Wait, maybe I can do it.
I think you have to.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for asking, Robin. I'm also just going to shrink this just a tiny bit so that it doesn't get lost in the graphic, which was a cool idea in theory, but seeing now it's not so user-friendly. The same thing with this one. Are there any other overlapping ones? Here, we'll take this one. Move it down a little bit. Awesome. Last call for additions to this list. And these are all great ideas. And again, so Haley, amazing way to read my mind. We will send out all of these screenshots along with the slides afterwards so that you have access to all of these ideas. Thank you. All right, Haley, if you don't mind clearing, we will wrap up. And what I'd like you to do is while we're doing all of this, I would like you on your page, your piece of paper, this is the very last thing I'm going to ask you to do, is, come on, screen. All right, is to write down one new idea or thought that you found surprising or new or that you've done before and that you're going to try differently next time, and write it down in terms of what is something new that you've gotten from this. I have lost my ability to use the cursor.
Tamara, do you know how I turn off the captioning for now so it doesn't overlap with people's comments?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. Haley, can I ask a favor? Can you stop making me a host? And my screen seems to have frozen.
Is this live
second.
captioning or is this auto captioning?
It's auto captioning through PowerPoint. My computer went through an update and somehow it just started and I couldn't.
It's great.
Yeah, I love that it's accessible. I'm so sorry. I have lost the ability to control my screen. I love this insight. Excellent, right? Additional. So other thoughts? One thing that is surprising, an idea. Okay, and as soon as you have it, please load it on. Wonder if you can see this too. Oh, can't do that either. Oh. Ah, there we go. Okay, excellent. So keep putting those up. And if you have already put yours up, and if you have a Post-it note around, great. And if not, on the bottom of the paper in like really big letters, what I would like you to do is write down what is one thing that you would like to test in the weeks coming up based on what we've done in this past hour. And that is a commitment to yourself in order to try using the methodology cards. And I know that it is, on my clock, it is 2:02 Eastern time. I am super happy to stick around and answer questions and do some brainstorming if you'd like. For those of you who need to hop off and have a different call, I want to thank you very much for joining us. And I hope that this was useful. You should have an entire page of very concrete takeaways around not only how to use the methodology cards, but also what you're going to be able to use and work on and build right away, and hopefully even apply almost immediately. Thank you, Liana. So good to see you. Liana and I were in we were in our M squared cohort together.
Go way back.
Yeah,
Thank
love
you.
it. It's good to see you.
You too.
I have a question of something that hasn't been addressed yet, but it came up briefly in our breakout room. Although my other duo have both gone. Inclusivity in terms of the space people have behind them. I'm specifically thinking about that. Something that we, spitballed in our trio just a moment ago was the notion of people, going away, going off, going outside, collecting an item, or doing something like stretching in their room, stuff like that. But something I find I facilitate for people in lots of different places around the world, and the kind of space that they have available to them both in their house and the rules around lockdown in different countries, in terms of being able to even leave the house, are very different. And so something I struggle with is I come up with a great idea for using space in real life and bringing it back to the screen. That's not necessarily, or it rarely is, inclusive for everyone. And so that's my biggest challenge. And again, I'm thinking really specifically about inclusivity means so many things. I'm thinking specifically about space behind and the concept of going in and outside.
Definitely. And also, I want to say about inclusivity, which is so important, is that it's really about the mindset, right? So when we talk about design of space and environment and inclusivity, that is a real piece of the mindset. And then we use the methodology in order to reinforce that. What do I mean by that? When we sent out an email saying, if you are able to, please participate on a computer. I was having a conversation with an organization where a number of their participants are only able to join using their mobile device. They don't have access to a laptop. And so the Zoom functions and the ability to navigate and toggle between pieces is more restricted. So having the ability to have that foresight and be mindful in planning is that as well. If you're thinking about inclusivity, whether we're talking about mobility or frankly, like the closed captioning piece that came on, and how do we engage people in that way? When it's front of mind, you can then turn to the methodology cards to really reinforce what your intentional design is going to be like. And I'm happy to, brainstorm like a specific example around that. But I think really when you have the idea of being as inclusive and as aware as possible, then the rest of the methodology cards help you to factor in those pieces. So if inclusivity is about, for instance, differentiated learning and different learning styles, and some people are more auditory and some people are more written based, then you can factor that in to how you are going to engage your learners in that concrete experience and offer choice, right? So whether you can solicit feedback, and those who want to share their feedback verbally can do so if they're comfortable, and those who are less inclined to share verbally can also type the answers in the chat. If people have an accessibility issue around being able to participate on the phone only, and you want to share a Google Doc where people can engage after the fact, that's another example of how you can design that space, and then you can name that document so it is intentionally built into the experience, the concrete experience that you're designing. Does that help a little bit, Joey?
Yeah, definitely as an approach, for sure. I like the example you gave about, various ways of providing feedback, and thinking that also in terms of various ways of contributing, that some people don't want to be the ones talking in front of a group of 20 people, especially if their first language isn't English, and many other people are, but maybe they're okay typing when they have a little more time to think.
Exactly.
Things like that. Yeah.
The other thing that you could do is you could have them text, depending on the relationship and the nature of the engagement, you could have that feedback either texted to you. The way that you had a piece of paper beside you, you could have them writing down their answers and their responses, have them take a picture of it and text it or email it to you. And then nobody actually has to share in front of the crowd if that's another inhibitor. And you still have the ability to assess, engage, and have that. And again, the naming, which I'm a huge fan of, the naming of the document, of the page, whether it's an accountability form or it's like a whatever checklist, if it's thematically designed, you can do that as well. Lisa, I see you have a question here. I haven't read it yet, but I saw that you put it in, so take it away.
Sure. Well, this was what we were talking about in my group. I work for a federation. It's a JCC and a federation combined. So we're trying to figure out, like many people in this world, how to now, take something we've done in person and make it come alive. And so I'm thinking about, like a 1 hour experience that's just A to Z. We're able to do all the things on these cards. Yeah. And sort of hard to know which direction to go. But my sentence was, hold on, that I'm working to design a concrete experience that is unexpected, surprising, interactive, touching, and dynamic. Okay, well, there's a lot there.
Flossy.
So
love it.
I'd love to, is there anybody here thinking about that kind of experience online? I'd love to just hear if this is the right space for it, like what are some things that people are thinking about for that kind of experience?
Sure.
Sarah Kay just did that, didn't she?
I was just going to say, I'd like you guys to take yourselves off of mute and contribute to this, because this is, everybody here has a significant measure of expertise to contribute, and we're all very practiced in the field. So please, those of you who have suggestions and ideas, and Sarah Kay, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Wait, can you ask like a specific question so I can be helpful? What question should I answer?
Lisa wanted so she's working on an event that she wants it to be, what were the lofty goals? Thank you, Jessica, for joining.
Unexpected, you can hear me right, unexpected, surprising, interactive, touching, and dynamic.
Yeah, yes, those are wonderful goals. And how much do you have like icons and graphics? Like, do you have a theme? What are you working with? What are your like inputs?
Okay. We have a resilience fund we want to launch. So the theme will be resilience. We have a speaker already who's the owner of a major sports team. So we have that, who's committed.
And is he also talking about like grit and resilient? Like, is it, how much is it?
We haven't gotten there yet. We're
okay.
just shaping the concept. So yes, we hope that he will talk about that. It's also been billed as a fireside chat, but that sounded really boring to me. So
you need to rename that space.
Amen. So again, it's all in concept right now. So it's been given to me to figure out how to build it, and if we want to go in that direction, we don't have to. So resilience, raising money to help the JCC, potentially to help kids, in terms of raising money for scholarships. But it's beyond that. It's very open space right now.
So if you go back to the
and this is an event that you.
No, go ahead, Sarah. Sarah, okay, not Sarah. Okay.
Are you? And this is an event. This is a legacy event that you're now pivoting to an online.
We've run it once. It was in person last year. Had about 200 people in real life. And now it does not have to look exactly the same, but there's been discussion of, can we have the live auction feature? Can we have the silent auction feature? Can we have a raffle feature? Like some of those things obviously do convert, but there's no expectation that it has to look like it did. But the target is the members that we have and the donors that support what we're doing.
And those beautiful keywords that you shared at the beginning, are those things that you feel like you successfully captured when it was a live event?
Good question.
Like the magic and the specialness, and like, are you capitalizing on something, or are you creating something like a new vibe for you guys?
New vibe. I would say it was not touching. It was not surprised. No, it was none of those things.
Okay.
Interactive. It was interactive. I'm thinking about how we have to make it even more dynamic, because it was just regular old. It was the first time we'd done it, so there was some interest in how it was unexpected because we'd never done it before, but it wasn't anything dynamic in my view. But yes, this would be new goals.
Lisa,
Tamara, I'm sorry, I know you want ahead of.
Yeah. No, what I was just going to say is one of the things that I'm hearing as Sarah Kay is like ingesting and digesting all of the information. So Sarah Kay was, just for context, was just involved in the Great Jewish Food Festival that was done online. And so she is a tremendous wealth of information. So if you would like to connect and sort of like, offline continue, I think she would be a phenomenal resource. I would also suggest that
There's
what I'm
nothing
hearing,
I like better than designing programs. So I'm going to put it, like, at least I would love to spend time if you're interested.
That'd be great. Of course. Thank you.
So yeah, so just message her your contact information if you'd like. And what I'd also suggest is, what I'm hearing from the examples that you're saying is that that like there are a lot of questions about the logistical operational components. Can we do the raffle? Can we do the this? Right? Because they've always been done before, or that's been sort of like the pieces. And so I like to distill things down to the most like oversimplistic, which is the what and the how, right? And those are all the hows, like how do we get the money? How do we raise and build the resilience fund? But like, let's talk about the what, right? So when we talk about the methodology cards and the idea of giving purpose and differentiating the spaces in order to really amplify the concrete experience, that really focuses on like, what are you trying to do? And then that will help you figure out more ways to apply the design element to your spaces and to your online spaces. And the how piece will fall into place much easier and much smoother once the what is super clear.
That's helpful. Well, what are we trying to do? We're trying to raise money. Okay.
Right.
And from that, we want people to feel good about the place that they support, or they support through membership, but maybe we want to continue the relationship and solidify that even more and help people feel good about being a member.
For sure. So I'll push you and say, you want to raise money is the what, but like, what do you want to do? What is that money going towards, right? What is the resilience? The resilience, how? What is the impact, right? All of those pieces. And those are the pieces that you can then really design and amplify.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for sticking around to the very end. Really lovely to learn together. I hope that everybody continues to be well and be in touch if you have any other questions.
Bye, this was dope.
Great to see you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Haley.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone. I'm
Bye.
ending the meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.